We're ready.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Hazel Robinson, and but basically, I'm delighted that you all were able to make it here today. I feel that, as some of you might know, I spent a lot of time campaigning over the last year for a drug called Orkambi for my child, and in that time, we were basically left in a state where we were pleading, crying and begging for children's lives. It was so morally wrong, it was disgusting, and to be honest with you, it left me in such a state. Camping outside the Dáil and sleeping on concrete is not my idea of a fair or proper country. I don't believe anything like that should ever happen again. I've witnessed up in Dublin massive amounts of people with fight in them, spirit in them, enough is enough, marching through the city, demanding rights. And that is why I have brought People Before Profit down here to talk with us today, because I believe that in County Longford we need some diversity. And if we don't get any diversity here and we don't have anyone to challenge the system or challenge what's going on, we're always going to be in the same situation. And I, for one, do not want to be stuck in Drumlish, worrying about ambulance services, having no support system, there's absolutely no health system here at all. There's no support, there's nothing here. If you've got an addiction in County Longford, you have to wait on average 3 months to see a counsellor. I know a man who went to St. Loman's, which is in County Westmeath, looking for help. He has had suicidal tendencies. He was self-harming. He was turned away from the door because of lack of beds. In St. Christopher's, my friend, she has a child who is severely autistic. He has absolutely he is non-verbal. He gets an appointment once every 6 weeks for 40 minutes, one-on-one, with a speech therapist. This is a non-verbal child. This is his chance to learn now, to try and communicate with people. And the system that we face in County Longford means that this child will never go no further than the way he is. They don't even have a sensory room for them children. For children with disabilities, they have no sensory room. When you suffer with autism, senses is everything. And we don't even have that in Longford. So hopefully, with People Before Profit, we can start and stir up a bit of momentum here, because we can't keep going the way we're going. You know, and like we need someone out there shouting for us, basically. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are they doing here? And I know I was saying, right, maybe I shouldn't say this, but the days of going to funerals looking for fucking, excuse me, votes. Do you know what I mean? It's gone. It's over. Bye-bye, James Bannon. We don't want you anymore. You know, like, it's as simple as that. We want somebody who's going to be up there and shouting for County Longford and saying, we're not taking this anymore. We deserve better. We're not second-class citizens. None of us here are second-class citizens. We all have a right. We all have a say. And I learned outside the Dáil that they are no better than us. And half of them, I don't know how the hell they got where they got. So that's basically it. And, you know, so we're going to have that chat now with Kieran. Sorry about that, the outburst. You can see I'm very passionate about what I'm saying.
Well, first of all, it's a hard act to follow, and that shows the type of passion and spirit that Hazel showed when she was fighting on the Orkambi campaign with quite a few others, and it was that type of determination that scared the life out of Simon Harris and got him eventually to move. And that is really what People for Profit is about. If you want to put it in a nutshell, we want people off their knees and organising and fighting for what is rightfully ours. I mean, put it simple. I mean, I'll explain a bit more of that, but that's the basic spirit behind it. Now look, we're trying to set up branches around the country. I've come down with Paul, who's from Longford Region, I think Lanesborough, and he was explaining to me some of the points about Longford, right? Relatively high levels of unemployment, a situation where, I mean, Hazel has already spelled it out, where the basic social services, basic public services that you'd expect as a human being and as an Irish citizen often are not available to you, right? And in this situation, there are two ways of kind of going about things, right? One is, and I'm just going to be straight about it, right? One is the Boxer Moran approach, which is that, listen, I'm in here to do something for you, but I'm going to get in with the establishment and I'm going to shaft everybody else and I'm going to pretend that I'm getting something for this community or that community and so on. In fact, Paul made the point on the way down. This type of politician wants to keep poverty as it is, wants to keep people without social services, wants to keep people begging for a house so they can come along and say, oh, I happen to get you a house and so on. So that's one route you can go down. Now, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is to change the whole system in this country so we get back to a bit of fairness and a bit of equality and a bit of justice. The main way we want to do that is what Hazel was doing in the Orkambi campaign. And I put it very simply. People will tell you all sorts of things, like talk to people who are powerful and be nice to them and so on. In the end, the only thing that counts is when you can get people off their ass, not just giving out on Joe Duffy, but getting people on the streets and organising and mobilising. And what we've seen over the last period is how that works. We've a leaflet here about the water charges, right? We would have been paying water charges if Phil Hogan has got his way and had threatened you that if you weren't paying charges, your water would have been cut off, right? That would have happened if people had not got on the streets, first of all, and then defied the law, because they were told it's against the law to, not pay your water charges, and stuck together. That's why we don't have water charges. And we call that people power. And it's people power that is pushing things forward in this country, right? The reason why there's not a national maternity hospital in St. Vincent's at the moment, run by the nuns, is because thousands of people got on the streets. And you can look at any sort of issue and you'll find that is what's happening. So, what People for Profit is about is promoting people power. And the simplest way I can put it is, we live in a country where people are frustrated. But what people tend to do is give out. So you give out in the pub, or you get onto Joe Duffy and you give out and you complain and so on. And we have to try to convince people, if you want something done, you come together and you get people moving and you protest and you fight and you stand up for your rights and you will get something done. So that's, if you like, at the key core of what we're about. Now, our policies. Let me just explain our policies very simply. We live in an unequal country, first of all. One of the most unequal countries in the Western world, second only to America. The gap between the rich in this country and, for example, people at the bottom is huge. Doesn't mean people are starving in the streets, although some of that's starting to happen, but there's huge inequality in this country. I'll give you a simple example. If you are an executive of a multinational company and you want to send your kid to a private school and pay, let me just get this right now, $15,000 a year to send your kid to a private school to get the best education growing, you'll get a tax break for it. The government will give you a tax break to encourage it. If, on the other hand, as Hazel's been said, you want early assessment for a child with special needs, you don't get the help, right? So once somebody's getting a tax break to send their kid to a private school, somebody else can't get basic assessments. Okay, so we live in an unequal society. We live in a corrupt society, right? How many people know that the people who get to be a judge in Ireland, 1/3 of them have had connections with political parties. 1/3 of people who are appointed as judges have been election agents for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or the Labour Party. How do I know this? Because one of the key judges in Ireland, Peter Kelly, said it. He said, I'm ashamed of the fact that the judges in Ireland have too many political connections. Okay? That's a fact. We have huge discrimination in this country. Discrimination against travellers, discrimination in terms of young people. If you, for example, get a job as a nurse or a teacher or a guard or whatever, and you come in and you're a bit younger, you come in after 2011, you'll get 10% less pay than somebody who came in before 2011. If you're under 25 and you're not living with your parents, you still only get about what, €100 in social welfare. If you're over 25, you get something different. So we have systematic discrimination in this country. Now, what do we want to do about this? And I just go through very quickly what our policies are. The main thing we want to do is we want to redistribute the wealth of this country. This is a very wealthy country, and we want to redistribute the wealth. Now, that's what Jeremy Corbyn went. People thought Jeremy Corbyn was a write-off. The one thing he said is, he says, I'm not going to raise taxes on 95% of people, but I am going to take some more taxes off the people with money and put it into providing public services. Now, what would that mean in Ireland? First of all, let's take, for example, Apple. Apple owes us 13 billion. In fact, the government won't even take the money and make them put it into an account and get interest on it. They're instead spending $500,000 of our money so that Apple, the biggest corporation in the world, can keep 13 billion.
Yeah.
Now, if we had 13 billion, what the hell would we do with it? You'd solve the housing crisis immediately, right? So Apple is a company that was paying 2% tax, and less than that for many years. Now, if you are on a wage of, let's say you're on a wage of 25,000, you'll pay about 20% of your wages in tax. Apple pays 2%. So we would like companies like Apple, like Google, any of these people, we're going to be generous, just pay 12.5%. You said you'd be good on forever telling us you wanted to pay 12.5%. Pay bloody 12.5%, right? If we had then companies paying 12.5%, which is still less than a cleaning woman has to pay when she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to clean offices, still a lower proportion of her income. If we had 12.5% from all these corporations, we double the amount of taxes from 4 billion to 8 billion from the corporations. 4 billion, you could build a lot of houses with that. You may not know it, but Ireland, along with the City of London and Luxembourg and Frankfurt, is one of the biggest centres of financial speculation in Europe. By that I mean there's about 20,000 people who sit in the Irish Financial Services Centre, and I'm not being insulting to anybody, but their main job is to move money about the place as if you're in a gigantic gambling casino. That's what finance is, right? Now we want to make them pay 0.2% every time they do a bet. Okay? I mean, if you go to the ATM, if you take your money out of your ATM, you pay a small tax on that. So why shouldn't people who are gambling pay a tiny weeny tax? And if we did that, we'd raise €1 billion from those people. Okay? So we want to take money from people who have too much money and use it to have proper public services. Now, what does proper public services mean? First of all, a national health service, right? Back in 1948, I think it was, in England, because the country was devastated, people said, we fought the war, and now, for heaven's sake, we want people to be treated according to medical need. You can't get ahead of me just because you got more money. Yeah. You've got to be treated according to your medical need. That was called the National Health Service. Free, nobody wants to go to a doctor, free and depending on need. That sort of National Health Service should exist in Ireland, and that would mean, if that was properly funded, you wouldn't have the problems Hazel was talking about in terms of early intervention and so on. So National Health Service. We want to solve the housing crisis by doing something that was done in this country in the 1950s when it was poor. Build council housing. Remember that word, council housing? They don't say it anymore, they say social housing, right? Council housing. Hazel tells me there's a lot of people in Longford who are builders. Why not take the people who are builders with the Apple money and build council housing so that the 100,000 people on the housing list get to have a home? I mean, this is not rocket science. You can do these things, right? So I just finished by saying, right, that it's really about what sort of country you want to live in. And if you think that, like Leo Varadkar, it's all about looking after the privileged people and giving them more incentives to be more privileged so they might eventually give us a few crumbs and we get a job. That's one way of going down, right? We want to go down a different road, and this is why I say we want to change the system. We want the people with money to start contributing to making this country a country that people can live in, where people have a house, are not stuck in a hotel, or now what they're calling a hub tonight, where people have a decent health service, and where the natural resources of Ireland, the huge oil and gas that's off the coast of Ireland, is used for the benefit of the Irish people. So that's by way of introduction, and then our policies there, you'll see them all there, so anybody, any questions or anything, just come back to me and say what you want to. There you go.
So, thanks very much, Alan. So, you were talking about like immobilising people, and that is basically what People Before Profit kind of fear towards. It's about people empowering themselves, people getting out in the streets, and it's basically taking action. If you bring that, that's okay up in Dublin, where you have a lot of people up there. How would People Before Profit work in a situation where you're in a rural area?
Well, you first of all, what you have to do is you have to ask, what are the issues that people are concerned about in Longford, right? And you put on a meeting. Let's say, for example, housing. I mean, in Mullingar next week, we're bringing down Peter McVerry to speak on housing, right? Now, if we find there's 50 people at that meeting, and we put it to those people, are you willing to get a campaign going to build council housing or to have rent controls? I believe in Mullingar is a big issue. Rent controls. Okay. Are you willing to start coming out doing something? Then you get something going. Yeah. If, on the other hand, only 10 people turn up to the meeting, there's not a lot you can do. So you have to get the numbers. And you have to start with the issues that people are concerned about. Like, now, I'm not from Longford. You don't have to tell me what people are concerned about. So,
like, from my opinion of County Longford, I think that here in Longford, we've been stuck in a situation for so many years now. And like I said in an interview the other day, that literally I've only just woke up in the last year. Maybe 2 years, I was kind of having a look into politics. But only in the last year I've actually woke up. And I heard saying today, a girl told me, she says, once you wake up, it's very hard to go back to sleep. And that's exactly how I feel now. Because my eyes are open to what's going on in this town. And I never noticed it before. You know, years ago, sure, I was out, you know, messing around. I didn't care. Do you know what I mean? But now I do. Because now I realise we have no support systems here. We have nothing here. And like, I seen I'm not getting at anybody, but I seen stats going up last night on Facebook. And I was saying, do you notice now with social media, people are moaning an awful lot more? Do you know what I mean? And I was thinking in my own head, moaning.
Good reason to moan.
Like, in fairness.
When you didn't moan, that's because everyone moaned.
So is this the way you're dealing with? Is this the way to say, Jesus, people are moaning more now?
Yes, it's our fault.
Yeah, but our fault is that we don't have the services.
It was a councillor who put that up.
I know. Yeah. That's what even got me more to.
I'll give a guess, good evening.
Do you know?
Oh, there you go.
No, like seriously. So like this is the point here that I really wanted to bring these down. Now people, this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that People Before Profit will basically be and contribute to a backup party for us to get something from the ground roots and build it so that it adapts to rural area. Because I know People Before Profit is mostly based in Dublin. And I have had people, when I said I was inviting down People Before Profit, they said to me, People Before Profit will never take off because they don't suit rural areas. And they don't know how to deal with rural areas. And that's basically what's put to me. So
okay, well look, first of all, we're mainly based in Dublin, that's true. We do have a councillor in Sligo, and we do have a councillor in Wexford, and we have branches in almost every single town in Ireland, over, let's say, 10,000, with the exception of Limerick. So we have a branch in Ennis, we have a branch in Kells, we have a branch in New Ross, we have a branch in...
Yeah, but would you come here only for Hazel last year, or would you just forget Longford like every other councillor and every other party?
Funny enough, I was here 2 years ago trying to get people profit going. It's in the middle of the water charges. Yeah. We had a meeting down in that hotel there, if I guess which one it is down the bottom. Yeah, we had, and there was about 12 people turned up, and we said, come on, let's get going, but I didn't persuade people to get a branch going there. Yeah. So, absolutely be here in Longford.
The unfortunate thing here is though that we have a huge Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael vote, and it's very hard to crack.
Yeah.
It's not to just hop from
one
to the other,
there's a huge section of people that don't vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
The independents 1 year, and then the next year there's something else, you know.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. Because it's the section of people that don't vote that I want voting. And I want to have them and encourage them. Yeah.
Don't vote.
It's us.
Yeah.
I never vote.
The Trans community don't vote.
Okay. Well, look, I would say two things on that. First of all, you can have a re-registration. You have a registration campaign. You can go around now, before the elections and so on, and encourage people to register to vote. Because a lot of people in this country are not registered to vote. The second thing is, look what happened in England. A lot of young people didn't vote. And Jeremy Corbyn said, I tell you what, I'm going to get rid of student fees. I'm going to end 0-hour contracts. I'm going to give you proper paying jobs. And there was a huge vote for Jeremy Corbyn. 70% of people voted for him. So often the reason why people don't vote is they haven't heard anybody talk their language and say, I'm out to help you. Not just the people in the suits, but I'm out to help you. So I think we do that. And on the answer on the Fianna Fáil thing, I'll put it like this. Where did People for Profit get started? We started in, I know this is Dublin and so on, we started in Dunleary with Richard Boyd Barrett. I've known Richard since the 1990s. Richard and myself used to sell papers at the GPO, socialist papers at the GPO. Nobody listened to us, right? What changed? He got involved in a local issue in Dunleary, which was as simple as this. They wanted to close down a swimming pool, an old Victorian swimming pool. And he got about 600 people moving on that, and they kept the swimming pool. So it's not that you've got a great plan. You just always need to listen to what people want.
Yeah.
And then you take the issue up, and you get people moving, and especially if you win it, that's where you break the grip of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael.
Yeah.
Because they always sort of batten off, nothing will ever change. It's that sort of attitude they always want to encourage.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hi. My name is Eddie Conroy. I'm People for Profit in Roscommon.
Yeah.
Just two things. First of all, to do with the rural stuff, and then I'll talk about Fianna Fáil for a minute. We started off, I'm from Boyle, and the way the county is organised, it's very hard to make any inroads in the south, of Roscommon Town and Athlone. But in Boyle, like we, and the north of the county, we just collected the issues from people. One of the big ones was the Garda station was closing down. So we went door to door, we did a petition, we talked to people, we got them out. Then we held street meetings. So we picked an area, let's say Hanley Avenue in Boyle, and we put a little, not a leaflet, a piece of paper thing in to say we're having a meeting next Tuesday at 7 o'clock in the green area in front of all your houses. Come out and speak to us. They all come out. Meetings in Rural Ireland have there's a problem with meetings. People don't want to go to meetings, public meetings, for whatever reason.
If you go to them,
but they will come out of their house.
Yeah.
And we got huge crowds coming out in the areas. They're not afraid to speak in front of their neighbours. You'd be amazed who will come out and actually speak, and some of the ideas that they'll have. Bring those with you.
Yeah.
Go back to them again if there was an action from that night. And slowly but surely. Now I started from nothing, really. I met Brian and Boyle, we decided we'd have a go at this in Roscommon. And I'm not blowing smoke or anything, but I got about 1,600 votes in the general election.
Yeah.
Which, like, Roscommon voted against the equal marriage.
So did
So-
Longford.
Did they?
Yeah.
I thought it was only Roscommon.
Westmeath
I
voted for it, Longford against.
Really?
So
Oh, because they just
combined,
balanced.
they passed it.
That's what you're rowing
Yeah.
against, if you like.
Oh
So
my god, we'll not talk about kill
the
you.
key is definitely go to the people rather than expect that they'll come to you, because you
Yeah.
get very frustrated. Even if you had a stall in town, some people will speak to you, some will show an interest, most won't.
Yeah.
What I noticed as well with the water, some people were afraid to be seen to associate with us because they're the lefties. But yet, they would support you and they didn't want to pay the water charges, but because councillor so-and-so or the neighbour who's staunch Fine Gael or whatever, they didn't want to be seen out speaking to you. But they will, if you go to them, you'll get them.
Yeah.
On Fianna Fáil, the thing about Fine Gael is, Fine Gael, to be fair to them, represent their own people very, very well. They are neoliberals, they look after the rich, they make no bones about it. Might admit it on TV, but that's what they are.
Yeah.
Fianna Fáil are the ones that I think we should be going after constantly, because they stand for nothing.
Yeah.
So whichever way the wind is blowing, if they felt there was 400 people in Longford that wanted to keep the library open, they'd be all for it. If then the mood kind of changed and they thought, well, everybody wants to change it into a swimming pool, that's what they'd be for. Every week they're on a different. So Fianna Fáil, that's the point I'd make to everybody. Buy Fianna Fáil, they have no
Yeah.
opinion on anything. They're for equal marriage, they're not really. They're going to give a free vote, is what they said before the election. Now they're not. You know, Martin said no way is he going to repeal the 8th. So Fianna Fáil are the ones that I think we should be after. Get them out of the way, because Fine Gael voters will never change. They are for themselves. They make no bones about it.
Yeah,
We
sure,
want the
but
money.
maybe, yeah.
You saw the thing on the RTE with councillors, you know, what's in it for me? Loads of money. That's them. and it'll never be any different.
The lads here are all trying to work in this town and, you know, earn a living and, you know, get a house and all that. They're all at that stage and families. Like, what do you think? What do you think Longford should be doing to help you along instead of shoving you off out to Australia or hitting for England? You know,
How many of your friends? How many of our friends are gone? How many of our friends are gone out of here, and we're left behind? Like I'm stuck here. Like there's no point in saying I'm not.
sorry.
I moved out of Longford for 5 months, and I had an argument or whatever with the person I was living with in Leitrim, and when I came back, the council kept telling me to go back to Leitrim County Council.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, I'm from Longford all my life, you know, it's no good to me going to...
But yeah, Longford is a dumping ground for
And I'm
every
only, it's
other.
only now that I'm
Yeah.
after getting around, getting my name on the list. Like.
But Longford is a dumping ground. From,
Yeah, but it's
Um,
really dumping
So
ground.
like-
the hospital over there, and I was invited down to price a job down there. I was told to come in the side gate and not be seen going in. And by the time the place was finished and 2 buses arrived from England, it was too late.
Well, my brother travels to Dublin now, he does about 90 hours a week,
They get
all, like, you know,
fed
and
Yeah.
he's exhausted.
A
by
lot of
half nine, he's
people
falling
here,
asleep, you know.
Trying to get any income at all have to literally drive to or get the train to Dublin. Like thank God, it's a terrible thing to say, but in County Longford we're so lucky we have a train station.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's the only thing that gets
Maybe
people
run
up to
first.
Dublin and working and making an income. But the point being is, I'm not sitting here moaning. I'm being realistic. And the realization of this whole thing is, if we don't change and we don't start shouting out and saying, here, come on now, seriously, you know what I mean? Nothing's ever going to change. The kids wanted a bloody skate park. A skate park? Is that a big ask? In County Longford? Where is that?
No, it's Centre Park. Don't forget.
Oh, Centre Park that none of us will be able to have the price to get into.
I'm
You have to
involved.
stay there
Pay
again.
£700 for a
I'm
weekend.
myself and Dave were involved with that skate park,
Yeah.
And it took us getting Boxer Moran, the TD who will do anything for anyone for a bit of attention. It took us getting him down here to take a photograph, put it up online to shame
Others.
the councillors
Yeah.
into getting involved. Once they saw that, the Fine Gael councillor contacted us and independent councillors, and now because they know there's so much support, but we had to use somebody to achieve that.
And is it getting any headway?
It is, and the councillor
Oh,
behind
thank
it
God.
now.
Yeah. But isn't it a bad case that that's the length that you have to
Yeah,
go to?
disgraceful.
The other thing that I'd like to point out as well, if we were trying to get anywhere politically, is that do any of yous here feel it comfortable to go and approach any of our local county councillors?
About what?
About what?
About what?
Well, apart from you, ma'am.
I don't know. Every year.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Like
if
approach them
you
with
have a problem, and you need to talk to someone about it, whether it be housing, whether it be health, an issue that you're involved, what's affecting you and your family, do you know your point of call of where to go?
No.
Do you know who you can pick up the phone and ring? Do you know who you can talk to directly to try and be reassured that the problem is going to be straightened out?
I think you're in the stages of like, right, well, I'll ask him, and just pick them all off against each other, and just see, right, well, he probably wants some points, so he might help you, he mightn't, you know.
This is what I'm saying, so this is what I'm hoping as well, is that we can start developing something in County Longford where you have a point of call to go to. The open door system closed down. That was an absolute disgrace. And I'm not talking about anybody or anything like that. I've had so many people contacting me over the last year over all different issues, most importantly health, and I'm very, very strongly for a proper, decent health service here because of my own daughter and because of all the other stories and situations and what my friends are going through. I'm building on a health campaign at the moment. It is, it's not affiliated with anyone, but one of the men that are is with People Before Profit in Donegal. And we're trying to gather a mass movement of all the different problems, all the different areas in health, and we're trying to get them all together in one for a national health demonstration up in Dublin. That's what I'm at now at the moment. But what we want to bring, we need to bring that here. We want this here, because as much as I can walk the streets in Dublin, I'm still stuck here, worrying sick if something happens at home and I can't protect my child. And I am not the only person. So, you know what I mean? This is the thing that, like, these are the issues that we have to deal with. Homelessness. You think homelessness only revolves up in Dublin? Let me tell you, it doesn't. The only difference between homelessness here and Dublin is because everybody knows everybody here. So if you're homeless in Longford, you hide out of shame. And that's not fair. And then you go and try and get support and go and try and get help. And what are you sent out? You can get an appointment for 3 months' time. And a woman with, we don't even have a counsellor here. A woman from Mullingar. Yeah.
Like was there himself.
Ardnacassa. Why is there only one road going in into Ardnacassa and one road coming out? They created a frigging ghetto up there.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Bad planning. These are all simple issues that can be straightened out. Why doesn't anybody go up to Ardnacassa? And actually, what you said about going, what you done up in Roscommon, I would gladly go up to Ardnacassa and ask people would they want to come out and ask them what's affecting them. What do they want? Why is there no little playground in Ardnacassa? Why is there no community centre in Ardnacassa? These are not rocket science. This is not anything major. These are small steps that can be taken to make our community a better place.
Ardnacassa, a huge problem there is a Gardaí-related problem.
Yeah, totally agree as well.
And it's full of drug dealers. The Gardaí know who they are, they know where they are, and they're doing nothing about it.
Trying to do the hoarding up there. But look, at the end of the day, right? You can look at an area and you can say, oh, there's a drug dealer up there. There might be a drug dealer up there. There's about how many hundred children there? So let's take away the drug dealer for a minute. Let's think about the children. Let's think about how they're going to be influenced growing up. And I'll tell you, they'd be a lot happier if they had a community centre, if they had proper facilities to go to, and a nice bloody place and have pride in where they live.
Oh yeah.
This is
I
not...
believe up in Park Villas there, where they used to play football, they built little concrete jokes so the kids can't play football on the grass anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's, you
Well,
know,
maybe
it's
just, just to spell it out practically, look, what you need to do if you get a group going here is you go to the area, I don't know the area now, Ardnacassa, and you go around the houses and you take up a petition and you get people's support for the idea of, for example, a playground. You do a little bit of research and you'll find, for example, that there's EU money available for grants for playgrounds, and then you start having the sort of meetings that Eddie was talking about in the streets. So listen, come on, we're all here together for a playground. And you push it, and if you have to use box of mortar, use box of mortar, not against it. You use whatever you have to do, but the main thing is also get the people moving with you, right? So it's not just a gift from your man, it's the people themselves, actually empowering people, yeah. And that's what you do. And on the issue of the council, look, I mean, when I was coming on the radio, down the car today, there was a woman on the radio who had been, I couldn't believe it, 23 years on the housing list, 23 years on the housing list, herself and 2 children. And she now gets into a hub. They're not building houses anymore, they're building these hubs, which are like sort of a hotel room, except you get the cooking facilities with it. And that's what people have been offered. Now, if you think about it, when Ireland was at its poorest, they were able to build in most towns, and I'm from Galway originally, they built Bournemore, Redmore, Merview, all these places. They could build loads of council houses to house people. So if you think about it, there's loads of unemployed builders, we can build council houses, we can use the money from Apple. I mean, these are political choices. And what you have to do, basically, to put it simply, you have to start off campaigning on the small issues, like Ardnacassa. You got to put somebody up for the next council election, I believe you should. You shouldn't leave it to the people with suits, so-called experts and so on. You put up decent fighters for the council, you build a base, you get people elected to the Dáil, and all the time you keep using people power. You don't just send somebody into the Dáil to talk. We always say to our TDs, use that position to get protests going, to support people outside and so on, like Gino Bennett.
Richard and Gino, Like Gino walked from Cork to Dublin with Vera Toomey. Like, credit where credit's due. You know what I mean? Richard is an absolutely brilliant, he's so passionate about what he says, and you know, I've heard him plenty of times talk, and I do have admiration for these people, because they're standing there beside you. You know, they're walking the walk, as you can say. You know, and like that, to me that means an awful lot more. But like, this is the point, I suppose, of the whole meeting as well. With people before profit, is you have your certain you know, your certain policies and what you stand for and everything else. Is there room in County Longford to grow something that maybe might be outside of the policies, but to fit rural settings?
Look, the simple answer is yes, and the reason, I just want to explain how we're organised. We have a national council every 3 months, and every delegate, so you have delegates from all the branches come together, and that's what makes our policies up. So our next one is in Belfast, because we're also, by the way, a north-south organisation. Our next one's in Belfast in a week's time. So that's how our decisions are made, a national council every 3 months. Beyond that, we are an alliance. An alliance means we don't all have to agree on every single thing. So I haven't had a long, detailed discussion with Hazel. I'm sure if we spent another 24 hours together, we'd find something to disagree on, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure we would, right?
Yeah.
But so we accept that. We accept that we know more or less where we're going. We've got the same approach, but there's some issues that we disagree on. And therefore it's up to a local group to push those issues they want to do, because it's an alliance, right? We're not all on the same track. So there's more than enough on that. But I will say, I don't want to give you the impression that People for Profit is just a city-based organisation, because we are expanding very much outside Dublin at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Like I suppose why I suppose what kind of veers me towards People for Profit would be the fact that there's no, I don't want like party whip basically.
No, there's no party whip.
And that we as from a rural setting can grow something up to deal with the issues that we deal with, because at the end of the day the issues here are different to the issues in Dublin, and like that, if we had something going here, are we going to have the support of Roscommon? Can we support Roscommon, you know, in local areas?
Just on that very quickly, we've been working on a rural policy for about 8 months. We've been meeting down here, we met in Athlone, we met in Sligo, I'm not sure where the next one is, but it's ongoing. So if there's somebody from Longford that wants to come in and get involved and bring the Longford issues into it, absolutely.
Brilliant.
That's ongoing at the moment.
This is kind of off, but are you a part of anything to do with the A&E in Roscommon? That's the fight. Is there not a protest going on there every Saturday?
Yeah, there's a group that have been protesting every Saturday for 6 years. The anniversary is in July. We've rolled in behind them without trying to take it over, because it's their gig. The anniversary, I think, is the 16th or 14th.
Are they getting any headway there at all?
No.
6 years on, like, it's just, you know, it's humiliating. I think it just brings you right down to the ground. 6 years, like.
It wouldn't. The biggest deal of the whole thing with the A&E in Roscommon is that Galway is like a hospital in Bruce. I mean, it's just unbelievable the way Galway is. They can't cope with what's happening. People have to travel from the top of Donegal for cancer care services to Galway. It's 5 hours down the bus, you get whatever done, and it's 5 hours back. I mean, if you weren't feeling well before you left, you certainly weren't feeling well when you get home after all that.
And I've heard about like cancer patients as well being actually turned away recently, weren't they, for care? You know, like these are all the things, and I know like a lot of times if it doesn't affect you, you know, you don't see it. It's not that you don't care, you just don't see it. But like when it kind of does affect you, and then you start seeing it everywhere, I suppose that's the stage I'm at now. And you know, like I suppose this is why I wanted to hold this meeting. This is why I want People for Profit to come down, because I want people in Longford to know you don't always have to vote for the people who are in suits that you can't approach, that are, you know, creaming the top, and we're all suffering in silence basically. Yeah, that's perfect. That's what we'll do. We'll get a bit of land there. We'll just get something going in the Midlands.
Just to say that, I mean, that's a serious point. We don't want to keep the situation going where a politician can turn up every 4 years, tell you lies, then go into Dáil and say, I didn't really mean that, and just go on doing the same thing. So at the very least, you should have a right to recall a politician. So if somebody says to you, I promise to vote against water charges, right, then you see them voting for water charges, you should be able to say, come here you, would you please go away and put somebody else in their place. You should be able to recall people. Accountability, exactly, you know.
So, and like that's the other thing that I would be for, left wing. Obviously, like I think anybody who knows me knows I'm fairly left wing. But that's the other thing.
Well,
we need
well,
we need somebody, right? When the next elections come around, and we might as well be honest about it, we need somebody up in the Dáil. Not like all due respect to James Bannon, who wanted to build bloody, you know, library up in Edgeworthstown when the bloody county was falling apart, and him going to every bloody funeral and robbing friggin' Labour's leaflets. Do you know what I mean? But like, did you ever see the likes of it? But this is the man that we had representing us for so many years. Are we mad? Do you know? So what I think is, I honestly firmly believe that the next general election that comes around, we have somebody up in the Dáil and they're shouting Longford, Longford, Longford. Not a man who's on writing this little bit. How many meetings did he attend up there? 6 or something. In like 4 years or something like that. Sure, I mean, he was too busy at everyone's funeral. Like, it's an absolute disgrace when you think about it. Manipulating people like that to get a vote. Like, do you know what I mean? And I just honestly think that we are better than that, and we can kind of move a bit forward from that and get more, you know, get more momentum going in the county and get a bit of passion. You know.
Any chance we could drop Westmead and just be Longford again?
I don't.
Paul wants to get there.
Well, obviously, yeah, that would be great having Longford. Because Longford has different issues than Westmead. I'm with Dublin People for Profit in Dublin Bay North, and I'm from Longford. Just in terms of the questions, the rural branches, I mean, over half our branches are around Dublin now. And as Eddie said, we've been working on the rural policy for the last 8 months. So, I mean, how People for Profit is extremely democratic. So, as Kieran says, every 3 months we have our National Congress. And so every branch around the country, all 3 branches, each branch has a right to submit a motion to the National Congress. And then you have a certain date, and then people will stand up, they will talk about it, they'll debate the motion, and then we'll have a vote. And then we have a steering committee, and it's then the steering committee's job to make sure that that was voted for was actually implemented. Yeah. So it's not just Richard Boyd Barrett and Bree Smith up in the Dáil that's running, making decisions of People for Profit. It's the actual people in the ground in every single one of our branches, and that's what it means by real people power, first off. And in terms of Hazel's on about having a voice for Longford in the Dáil, you have to think local first, you have to start off local. I mean, you're being very aspirational now and saying that it'd be great to have someone shouting in the Dáil for Longford, but you need to focus. The only way you're going to get there is when you have your local campaigns in terms of highlighting issues around the town, like Ardnacassa. I mean, I used to live in Ardnacassa. Yeah, I used to live in, all my aunts and uncles lived in Greenlawn, and then when I grew up, I actually was renting a house up there in Ardnacassa, and as I said, it's just, it is a bit rude. Like at Halloween, it is like Baghdad because of all the fireworks. It is. It's like it's noisier than Baghdad.
I live laughing, but like
no, it's true. I live in Coolock in Dublin. Coolock is quieter than Ardnacassa.
Yeah, I would like, you know, believe.
And you have to. And you say there's no people don't vote in Longford because they don't see the point of voting because you have Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil representing you, who just like to be your hero when something is, I'll get you a crutch for your, I get you a crutch because you know you have to wait, and they think then that they're your hero now because they've gone and helped you with that. But Jerry Warnock doesn't care. None of the local councillors around here. I mean, as you said, you have to get Boxer Moran to get somebody to come down. So you just have to start local, get local campaigns. Obviously, in terms of People for Profit centrally, I work up in Dublin with our central branch and in Dublin Bay North. So we can do. There's the areas where we can help you with like your posters. Like if you want to make posters, you want to get leaflets, we can get them made for you and sent down to you. It's just that we need people on the ground that have their ear on the ground, that are running the local campaigns, and then we can obviously provide you with posters, with leaflets. We can arrange for speakers to come down from Dublin to Longford to talk about what we do in Dublin in terms of housing. Like you were saying about Ardnacassa or certain areas where there's a road road in and out. People don't really care for their estate. There's a lot of drug dealing. There's illegal waste. We have the experience in Dublin of fighting for community centres and fighting to develop parks. That's what our councillors do in Dublin. So we can take that experience down to Longford, but we need people down here doing it because we can't do it because that's what it is. People need to do it. You can't expect us to come down from Dublin and do everything, but we can help you.
That's it. That's exactly it. Like it's all well and grand to say whatever you have to say, but you know you have to have something to back it up. And that's why I suppose if, you know, that's what I would be hoping from People for Profit, that they would be able to basically, you know, show us the ropes, show us how to immobilise, show us the best techniques, show us what worked with G, you know what I mean? And
that's what we do. We have, like say for example, I said we've got over 40 branches around the country. like social media, we use social media, we use like, you know, email, we have our special secret groups, where we're all our organisers around the country, Eddie's one of them, you know about, like we have the Still Waiting campaign, where all around the country, all our rural branches, we've been putting on meetings. And so we're going to be campaigning on this Saturday. We're having a public meeting about our Still Waiting campaign. Hazel has links for that as well. So that's that push for Still Waiting for the National Health Service. That's not coming from the Dublin branches. That's coming from all the rural branches.
Yeah, Donegal, myself here, and Westmeath, like basically Declan and that. Yeah.
Can I just say practically, right? Look, I'm going to hope that everybody here joins. And just the way you join is you fill a form in and you get a group going and so on. What does a branch before Rafa do, right? The first thing you got to do is, as Paul said, you got to identify what are the local issues in the town, right? And you produce a newsletter, right? A newsletter is a sheet that's called an A4 sheet, back and front. You put about 800 words in it, and you put on some of the issues you think are a concern to people, and then that's your message. And we will get it laid out for you, and we'll get it printed for you, right? And then you go around the houses and you distribute the newsletter, and you maybe have a petition, and you do what we were saying in Ardnacassa, and you get basic campaigns going. You put in press releases to local papers, so you get your name out there. And Paul knows much more about it than I do, but you would do a big social, and you're quite good as well, I believe. You do a big social media operation. You make sure your word is out there on Facebook and on Twitter and so on, and you're reaching people. And the importance of saying this is this. See, there's going to be local elections here in 2019. If you arrive, let's say in January 2019 and say, I'm going to stand, I'm telling you straight, you're getting over. You won't get very far. If you have a record of doing the sort of things we're talking about here, you're putting out a newsletter, you're taking this campaign up, you're taking up a campaign for a shopping centre, a library, or keep a guard station, or wherever it is, you know, people will know you and they'll trust you, and they will start voting for you, because people in this country are getting tired of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael.
Yeah, they're getting tired of being walked all over.
They are.
You know, that's what it boils down to. They're getting tired of everything, because I think I really feel like that in Ireland now we're at kind of a, you know what I mean, the straw that broke the camel's back sort of a stage, you know. So that's the way that's what I take of it. So, you know, like, I don't know, what do you think, or
100% agree with you, especially with mental health.
yeah,
You have to wait like 2 years to go see a psychiatrist, you'll be dead by then.
yeah. You know,
Absolutely.
these are all like big issues, but they're not being dealt with. Nobody's dealing with them.
It's like,
So,
don't
like, it's
care,
kind
don't
of-
tell me.
We've come to a stage. Do you want to just do you want to just forget about it, throw a blind eye to it, and say, oh, somebody else is going to do it, and do you know, or do you want to try and I suppose immobilise and like hopefully get something going here?
That's the most difficult part, is to get people
Going
behind you
yeah.
and to actually go out and do the work
Like
with
Barbara, you ran a brilliant campaign as far as I was concerned, you know.
you. It didn't get me anywhere
But like,
because I was independent. I'm not from Longford. I wasn't known. And it was a huge uphill battle, really huge battle. But it gave me the confidence to do it again if I chose to.
yeah.
And when did you start campaigning?
It was for the general, and it was probably 6 months beforehand. And it was such a huge constituency, you know, it was a huge ask, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
But another big problem is canvassing time. You know, you need a team behind you. You need a team that start off with you, you know, under the umbrella of people before profit,
Yeah.
to commit to helping you to get yourself elected.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, there's no point.
Yeah. You need a good team.
Yeah, just to say on that, I mean, the main thing to understand is, if you take, somebody said earlier on, you don't know what these Fianna Fáilers and Fine Gaelers are doing at all. I mean, they're not any better than anybody here, let's put it like that, right? They're just people who've learned a certain language and they talk the talk, that's all they do.
Yeah.
We're different, and what we do is we give people political training, right? Political training means we try to educate everybody on our policy on the health service, our policy on housing, how can you redistribute wealth. And if you've been meeting for a while, I mean, Jeremy Corbyn's campaign is interesting. Jeremy Corbyn had 1,000 people going into a constituency. Now, most of them had never canvassed in their lives, but they're given some political training, and with a wee bit of political training, you can first of all start going around in pairs, and then if you get confident, one of you go to the house and so on. If you have about 10 people who are willing to do that, you can get somebody elected to the council in Longford.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
If you start now,
Yeah.
right? So you need a little bit of political education, some campaigning, lots of paper, just giving it out, explaining to people what's going on, and people know that you can be trusted, and you get some people, you get elected, then your problems will start when you get elected.
Do you know what I mean? Where are you going to get the money to do the pay area? You can go down there, build the pay area, and then go and ask them.
You have to
do your
influence the local council.
Yeah.
Local council control the purse
Well,
strings.
the
Local councillors vote.
council give you nothing. They want to build another bridge down in the south so they've got something to walk off their lunch on. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do.
That's
You
why
know
you
what I
fight
mean?
them.
Like,
You
it's
fight
just
them with campaign
outrageous.
locally. You shame them.
You've got
You
a
shame them
fiddle
by
out the
fighting
road
against
that
them.
means nothing, it's rusting away. They cost 60, 70 grand. There's an accident waiting that happened down St Michael's Road from the other, like, I'm all
Do you
for
remember
cars,
the
yeah,
yoke?
but
The space between
piece of
I
metal.
and F or
F.
something.
which is,
What the hell, 35 grand? That's what
Yeah.
the space between I and F
that would have
is.
done my century,
Ah,
but I've been fighting for that for
Jesus
years.
Christ almighty.
So,
Can I just say something?
A fiddle.
It was dead.
You remember
Yeah,
Peter-
you, was it?
well, fiddles we are.
They're all fiddling, that's the problem.
Well, do you remember Peter Burke was in the Dáil talking about lower insurance for teenagers or young people? Their insurance was £6,000-7,000.
Car insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is important because they have to get to work and
Yeah.
you know you can't afford it's like a mortgage. He did go to Dáil with it, but I don't know how far he went. But sometimes when you do go to Dáil, it doesn't necessarily mean it's in their hands, not in his. He just mentions it to them in the Dáil, and a lot of the problems was that any insurance company has to pay about 50,000 because their legal fees, their hospital fees, it's £50,000. So that's why the insurance is dear, because it's not a cheap settlement. They
Yeah.
don't settle for 10,000. It's
Yeah.
an average of 50,000 settlement.
Well, can I just come in on that? So we've done a real, I didn't bring it with me, we've done a lot of policy on car insurance. We're having this big meeting on the Red Cow. The situation with car insurance is a scandal, particularly for young people, right? And it's a scam. It is an absolute scam. And you see, they say that we have these high settlements. 70% of all settlements are not made public because they're often settled on the door of the court and so on. And the insurance company won't provide details on that. So what we want is a not-for-profit public insurance company that gives you cheap third-party insurance. They have it in Canada. They have it in Australia, so you pay it on your petrol charges and so on, and it's not for profit, right? And that's what we're pushing for. Now, we're having, one of the things we do here, you'll notice here, right, is this meeting here is supported by Age Action, the Union of Students in Ireland, Solidarity Before Profit ourselves, Social Democrats, Independence from Change, Sinn Féin and Irish Rural League. We believe in working with all different parties that are willing to stand up and fight. Okay?
But it's like a big scam, because it's like the solicitor from the doctor's room. I know for a fact actually, because someone walked out in front of our car there about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, the car didn't even tip them.
Yeah.
Fell on their drunken arse.
Yeah.
And she got 47,000 off us. My insurance went from £300 to 890.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a
And
joke. I
it's
think people should be
impossible.
insured who are going to walk in the middle of
Yeah.
yellow boxes and roads,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And maybe if they start getting sued, they won't start suing people in
And
the car.
it's
for
cutting
keeping
into
them.
families' income so hard. Like, I'm going through the same myself.
That was my holiday for
Yeah.
him. Do you know what I mean? To get
Yeah.
him away, like, you know. and now I
Exactly,
can't
like
go on
the
it.
respite care
I've got a
even that
chip
comes
card
through
that the insurance
is
is worth
gone.
more than my car.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just stupid.
Yeah, and you need, like, you're obviously dependent on the car because, well, I'm dependent on the
I'm
car
dependent
because
on him to get
there's
school.
there's no bloody health system here to support my child, so I have to get up to Dublin. And at the same time, I'm crippled with bloody car insurance, and I'm trying to keep the food on the table and the bills paid.
There you go.
This is what I'm saying. It's just, but honest to God, like, it's just, I really do think that we're at breaking point, and like, I firmly believe that if we start mobilising here in Longford and we get a bit of momentum going, you know, like, we can do something. Like,
Well, we can't fall further down.
No,
exactly.
that's it.
Pretty
Well,
much
that's
that's
just a
our
fair
on
point,
this
like.
particular point. I mean,
Exactly.
actually agree with that.
Do you know, like, we're, you know, and like that, as I said, I was saying it to my man about there before you came.
What
I
brought
said,
us to Longford?
it's.
I don't know.
But you know what? I was putting the clothes
horse and go back
to the
wherever you
side
go.
there, and I said, what a more fitting place to have our first, hopefully, a movement in County Longford than in a charity shop. And the charities are the ones, not all of them now, a lot of them are creaming as well, don't get me started on that. But a lot of them are the backbone. It's the small charities around the place that they're the crutch for the government. And it's like that on their backs. And it's so fitting that we actually are starting this in a bloody charity shop. Charity begins at home, lads.
I do my
You
own
know, Oh.
Well, I done a wee bit of research on the charity here with Spence and Paul the last year, and I discovered that they took in 39 million Ireland and they gave out 39 million, 40,000 came in last year. I think there was, at the sleep out, there was 30,000 and then 10,000 at Christmas. So I said, how much that 40,000 was spent locally, and they wouldn't tell me. And I said, the thing about that is last year there was law made that when it's his money and home money and his money, that they're entitled to know where it's been spent.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I collected €300 myself for the same community in Athlone, Noel Green. And like he told me it costs, I think, £300 for 12 people a night, you know, to spend an awful lot of money. And I was saying, well, one good use of it is if you go to county council and buy a house in a ghost estate for reasonable money, like for example you have Clontarf, it doesn't have to be in the town, because town properties are very, very dear, it can be out of town a few miles where it's affordable. Instead of paying big money in that loan in the centre of town, which rent costs a fortune, it's not going to be cheap. They don't mind, they just want a warm room, they don't have to live in number 2 Dublin.
Well, it's a brilliant idea.
But they wouldn't release any information to me. So basically, out of the, I know there's money been spent at the hostel out of Dublin Road, and then they call it programmes. It's a fancy way for administration, as in actually what to do is to spend the money on themselves as teachers. So you might have a place like Newters which educates people, that's grand. But for example, a woman in a house could have 2 cows outside the house and maybe no food in the cupboard. When they come out to send a financial advisor from that loan, which costs about £40 a petrol, then they ask, have you a receipt for this, have you a receipt for that, have you got a receipt for the shopping trolley, have you got a receipt for the EFB? They don't have all them things. And then say, well, there's nothing in my book, you can't have anything. So, whereas long ago, back 10 years ago, half a pint, there was a man there and it was goodwill, people went to the back of the house, you give them food parcels, it didn't matter who they were, there was no administration, and everybody was happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there wasn't people coming up to BMWs and all these stuff and for food parcels, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a very good point.
Has anybody any last questions about people for profit?
Just since you're organised nationally, which is rare in this country, what's the policy on partition?
Partition, we're in it. For 32 County Ireland, same as James Connolly.
Perfect.
We're the only party alongside Sinn Féin that organises north and south of the border.
Yeah.
We've just come from an election in Derry and West Belfast, and we say absolutely clearly we are against partition. We say it in a Protestant area and a Catholic area. We're against partition. We're for a 32 county, a republic on the lines of James Connolly wants it.
The thing is, like, Protestant working class people have the exact same issues as Catholic working class people. So the whole problem with Northern Ireland is that's how the Northern Irish state was created, to have a conflict between the Catholics and the Protestant working classes for the benefit of the rich people. So that's what our policy is on Northern Ireland: reunite the working class Protestants, reunite the working class Catholics, and rebuild a fair society in Northern Ireland. And when we have, that's how we convince the Protestants to actually reconnect in Ireland, that rebuild a proper socialist, no, this is going a bit long down the road, we have a proper socialist republic, then they will vote to leave the United Kingdom, and then we will create 32 counties simply by inspiring them. That is our policy in the north.
You're asleep here.
What's your policy on refugees coming to Ireland?
We're for the right refugees to come to Ireland.
You're for, and what's the reckoning on that?
Well, you see, look at, I know why you asked that question, right? And we have had about, I would say, since the beginning of the year, this policy of sort of saying that there's all these refugees coming from Syria, and some of them are in ISIS.
I didn't see any Syrians in Longford yet, no?
No. But I'm just saying, look at just. I mean, Syria is being bombed to bits. There are about 17 warplanes bombing Syria. What?
The Americans are dropping white phosphorus.
They're dropping everything on them. Now the people flee from that place, and the most people in Syria have gone to Lebanon and so on. There's about 1 million people gone to Lebanon. I think there's about 500 come to Ballydreen.
What about Pakistan, Somalia?
Pakistan, they're not fighting anyone.
Yeah,
You know, so why are they?
They're not. You asked me about refugees.
We have an offer as Pakistanis.
Right. No, you asked me about refugees. So I was talking about refugees generally. Look,
you can't generalise.
No, we're not. This is where we're not always going to agree. But I'll be honest. I'm going to give you honest answers. Right. I believe that people have a right to travel around the world. I believe people have a right to travel. I really do believe that. I
Certainly,
believe,
if you want to work, I
But what
agree.
happens
no,
to
absolutely, if you want to work, and most people do want to work. I don't think that anybody who left this country in 1847 after the famine,
They all work.
they went over and they worked in America, and most people want to work. They do, genuinely.
Yeah, but when are you going to guard your bed anyone? You don't seem to really guard your bed anyone. Like I've had a family member raped and murdered just down the back here at Tesco's. Do you know what I mean? They allowed him. He had 27 convictions in his own country and still was allowed here.
So open borders is now the best way to go.
Doesn't matter what part.
No, but I
You
mean,
can't go to America or Australia when you're after raping someone in Longford.
and if you're raping something in Longford, you should be in jail.
But you can go from
The
here
point is,
to
this
France.
man had
You won't get into
27
Australia or
previous
America.
convictions,
Yeah.
and he was still able to come into
Why
our
are we
country.
here?
That's
Can I add to
what.
that?
Yeah.
I was talking to Garda sergeants,
Yeah.
and I can see a lot of Slovakians and Eastern Europeans and I was talking about immigration because the passing remarks to the Garda, maybe immigration might pay more attention to them. But I says, do you have any Garda immigration? And he says, we do. And he says, well, he's going to be busy. Garda immigration speak the language of Slovakians or whatever country it is, but there doesn't seem to be any of them around or any of them interested in doing anything.
I know, but do you know the word paddy wagon? Do you know where the word paddy wagon came from?
An ordinary
It came from Irish. Irish people regarded as layabouts, drunks. They didn't want to do anything when they went to England. And the same old stuff has been said now about people coming here.
An ordinary guard doesn't have expertise to deal with immigrants, refugees, or whatever it is, but they do have immigration, which is specialised in putting them on the bus, putting them on the plane and sending them home. But in relation to Ireland going to America in say 1855, one excellent example.
We weren't with open arms over there either when we were riding in America. You have to think of that one.
He left on the ship and went to America, and a family actually reared him because he's only a 15-year-old child. He's going to work. When he got on the docks in America, he worked in the doctor jobs, tan and leather. He worked for 5 years, saved his money, went to Butte. You know the mountains in Montana? And he had working with a shovel and a pick with silver and gold. There wasn't much of it, so we went to another mountain and it was copper. The other partners didn't want to get involved in it. He'd seen an industrial use for, we say, Guinness Berry with the copper tanks. So we ended up earning 2 million with 20,000 acres of land. And he died at 59 years of age in America. So, when you go from rags 15 years of age to worth 2 million,
Yeah, that's riches.
No one's saying that not some of them don't need help.
Oh, there is
When
some good
people
ones,
are
but
taking,
lots of bad ones.
they make, at the end of the day, like,
There's
we
some
are
good ones
not
everywhere.
in this town,
Everywhere.
yeah, and then there's
Yeah, but why can't you put them on the bus and
many
send them
foreign
back when
nationals
they get
coming
through?
in,
What do they do?
and that, I think that's what annoys people.
I'll
I think
put them
as
in
well.
jail here.
Like, it's like
Sure,
you
then you
go
fill
down
up our
and
jails.
get that.
Yeah,
All drive home
Yeah,
5 or
that's fair
6
as
or
that.
7 cars, and I've got
They
11
don't
cars.
assimilate. A lot of these people don't assimilate. They don't want to. They don't get along with us. They don't
Well,
want
maybe
to
we
know
need
us.
to make more effort to
That's
some
true.
assimilate.
But why should we make the effort? Really? Why is it always down to us to do it? Like, why should
Maybe
we
they're
feel that
fair.
we're racist because we don't make an
Well,
effort or
look,
we're hoping
PC
for
Do you know, right, so that's an issue,
That
like
is a big
obviously,
issue,
and you
yeah.
know, and obviously
Definitely.
people are very tense, and do you know it is, and I
They
don't
don't want
blame
to
you,
mix.
Anne.
They don't want to mix.
I
My
don't.
sister Tina ran
This
a
is-
get together, and half of them wouldn't even associate with me. And that was everyone from every nationality. She went around everyone, including the travelling community in Longford, and half of them didn't even want to get involved. So,
Yeah.
Well,
what
I'm
much more do we want
involved
to do?
with Fáilte Jack, and it's here in Longford, and it is to help the refugees with their conversational English and to get to know them. And it's going on now about 6 or 7 weeks. It's the first time in Longford, but they love it.
Yeah.
They want to integrate into our society, but they don't know how because they don't feel we're willing to make the move
Yeah.
for them.
Just in terms of that, like,
So
What move for them?
there's Leitrim were playing up in Crow Park there last week. Their Leitrim hurling team were up in Crow Park. They had a guy that came to Ireland as a Kurdish refugee playing a corner forward for them. And he became integrated because when he came down to Leitrim, the local Leitrim GAA club straight away came in and started training the kids in.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I have friends, Algerians and
Yeah.
Iraqis and everything, but a lot of these,
They like to stay with their own.
they
self-
don't have any
as well,
respect.
you know?
A lot of them don't have any respect for anyone, and that's a fact.
Can I add to, I was talking to a Romanian recently in Longford Town, and I showed them the citizens information. I took pity on it. I've had homeless people in Belfast in numerous cases. Don't mean it's not hard to do. But I showed them the citizens information, where to go if they had advice and skills and expertise. I think he was in the hospital, but he was taking heroin or methadone and they don't fair enough. But I got the guard to address matter one thing, he was living in a place he shouldn't have been living in. And it wasn't like it was an old house, there were no windows, it was a proper place with electricity, heating, he was squatting, you couldn't have that. But anyhow, the girl said to me, oh, he fell in hard times. That was the only response, he fell in hard, sent him down the road. They need an immigration guard to address this. Now, he didn't have a criminal record, just small stealing and stuff. But if it was helped by the people, nobody, he stole for food because he was hungry, you know what I mean, to live, because no one could feed him. And people do desperate things in desperate circumstances. But there is, in Belfast, you used to food parcels where you have sandwiches and tea. Here they don't. I was talking to the priest, you know, near the table at Christmas, and different religions does that, the Catholic church can be anyway. And you say soup, sandwiches.
Got St. Vincent de Paul today down there. Can't they go there as well?
I was talking to St. Vincent de Paul, and one of the men holding the placard outside the church. And I showed him a picture of a man sitting on the street about a year ago, and I got him a chicken burger sandwich, a bottle of Coke and a thing, and I was surprised the man wouldn't look at him. And this man was very happy to look at another man in a suit, but I said, well, you need his boots in the ground. I says, you have £40,000 in the kitty. I says, there's a man on the street neglected, this is true, and one suit is only talk another suit. I says, and the purpose of you holding that thing outside the church with St. Vincent de Paul in it is for that poor man on the street.
Yeah.
And
Well, St. Vincent de Paul is doing great work around.
they're doing quite good money collecting the money, but we don't know where it's been spent.
Yeah, I think so, because
Well, listen, we'll just because we're getting, the kids are getting tired. You know, we're all getting tired.
Yeah.
So listen, we bring it to a close here. So what I'm going to do is we want to get a people profit group going in Longford. We hope to stand a candidate in the elections. But I've just been explaining you have to get going pretty much from now, really, if you want to get things going. I mean, Hazel played a big role in getting people here today, so obviously we very much hope that Hazel plays a role in getting things moving in the town.
Should Hazel stick to one thing to go for a minute rather than saying, right, I'm going to help you, going to help you, going to help you, and then gets too much and she's not able to help anybody.
Well, if you have a group working together, and it's not just one person, but you have a group working together.
And I suppose in the way of, like, I was talking like that, like, I would hope, like, me and you, I suppose, you know, there is groups of people that are kind of struggling through the same thing. Like our thing, I suppose, is health.
Yes.
You know, like the sensory room, you know, and transportation for everybody. Like if a child breaks their leg here, they have to go to Mullingar. It's not dealt with in Mullingar, then they have to go to Tullamore. If there's only one person on the bus that morning, the bus ain't going, and you're not getting your bloody leg fixed. You know, and it's, you know, if you're a single mother, or if you're a parent, a single father, and you're at home and you have no transportation, how are you meant to get your kids to the hospital? How are you meant to get, you know, so this is the thing. So like, you know, there's only so much anybody, you know, can do. But like, I suppose my main goal, this was my main goal for this meeting, was just to create a space where we can have a conversation. And the conversation has to be, what's going on with you? Are you pissed off because you have nothing to get up for in the morning? Is there no courses that suit you? Is there no, do you know what I mean? Like, no, but like this is the whole thing, and I want to create a space where we can have an open conversation. So I hope we, Hazel.
Well, this was about people getting travel sick. There was a businessman in a hospital in England, and he seen a man who went in for cancer treatment, but he missed the wrong day, came the wrong day, and he was getting back home. What this man done was, he owned a manor estate worth millions. He sold his manor estate and opened up a business place for minibuses to help to drive the people to hospitals. It was a charity thing, you know. He sold, picked up a couple of million, bought buses, and got the people to the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, can I say, if you want to get involved with People for Profit, just leave your name and details there and pass it up afterwards. Now,
sure, even follow Hazel on social media, because if we're going to organise something again, putting out the
word. Would people be interested in coming back to a People for Profit grouping in Longford? Give us a quick show of hands who'll be interested. Okay, to get something going, we need to have a convener, right? And all a convener does is text out people, tell people the next meeting is on, and keeps in touch with the organisation. Could I have proposals for a convener of the group here?
Huh? A group.
That you'd convene the meeting,
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
just get it together.
get people together and then discuss
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
want to decide
I
to do and so
won't
on.
do it.
Would you? Yeah, brilliant.
You
Right.
said
Can I
again?
invite you to-
I'll do it with her.
Hazel,
You two will convene the meeting,
Yeah.
okay?
if you get Hazel's contact details,
Yeah.
and then Hazel can then send out a text message every week or an email
Every
week. And you
fortnight.
can all agree together when you'd like to meet, what time to do, maybe here Tuesday at 8 o'clock. This is how we do it in Dublin. We meet every 2 weeks, a Tuesday. You don't have to do it every 2 weeks like we do because we're very
Yeah.
busy. You could do it once a month.
Yeah.
But meet once a month here, maybe and Hazel will give you a shout. You all come together, decide what you want to work on, and then plan how you're going to do it.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Does that sound okay to people? Do you want to meet fortnightly or monthly?
It's up to them.
What do you want, monthly or
Monthly, I'd say.
fortnightly?
I think fortnightly.
Monthly,
is better.
fortnightly might be good because I'm on two
I think
boards of
mon-
management.
I
as
think
well.
Okay,
monthly.
monthly, okay, you want to meet monthly, okay. So the next meeting would be, let's say, Tuesday, a month's time.
Or whatever day suits everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, and Hazel will send
Yeah,
out
first,
the...
that's a good way to remember it there. Yeah, first Tuesday
Okay.
of every month.
Tuesday.
Will you just fill in the forms?
Children's allowance.
Just fill in the forms, will you? So we can make the members.
Lads,
Just fill in the forms here.
just want to leave it all on just like kind of a good note. You know, I know there's a lot of issues that has to be talked about. You know what I mean? And there's people are pissed off over and all that. Jeez, Lord knows I'm pissed off over a lot. But I just thought, like lads, again, just thanks a million for coming over, and thanks for even giving the time to listen. And I'm so delighted that yous are in this room because it shows, you know, that we can get something going and a bit of change, and change is good. So fair play to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
And your contact details. Alright, thank you very much. Oh, you got them. Oh, thanks for sharing. I'm calling this. Huh? Agree with each other? Same as contact.
Is it? That means it's a great town.